We're back with these fellas for an update. They look awful, I know. This is my Philodendron Milanochrysome. And this is my Philodendron Varicosum. I'll put the amount of time I've had these plants here, but yeah, they have not been doing well. Clearly, you can see that they have not been doing well. And we're gonna fix that. We're gonna start with the one that's not doing as bad. So we're gonna set this Milanochrysome aside because it's not doing too good. And we're gonna let the Varicosum shine right now. It's missing a lot of leaves. These leaves are facing this way. Overall, it's just not looking good. These little babies got spider mites, and it got to the point where leaves had to come off. It's barely recovering, even though the spider mites were from like 2 months ago maybe. They were just barely recovering. This one is recovering beautifully, if I do say so myself, as you can see from this new growth here. The newest leaf that just came out is looking gorgeous, velvety. Ignore this one little minor hole in its leaf. Other than that, the color is there. The shine, the sheen is there. It's just that little hole, and then a new leaf is growing in, which I'm expecting to look really good. But you can see from this leaf that the spider mites really did get to this plant, because these little yellow spots you're seeing are from spider mites. And this was the leaf that was saved from them. And then also this leaf that it came with, which somehow is still on this plant. I don't really know how. What I want to do is chop this plant down, because look at this measly stem. I do not like this measly stem here. Well, it only has 2 nodes on it. Oh, so that means it only lost 2 leaves. You know, this is better than I thought, but okay, still. I do not want these 2 empty nodes here. One day I'm not gonna want this spider mite scarred leaf on here, so one day that's gonna hopefully fall off. So what I want to do is cut this part off, and I'm gonna get 2 plants out of this. I'm trying to get 2 plants out of this. One of them is gonna look, actually both of them are gonna look absolutely gorgeous. So yeah, that's my goal, to get 2 plants out of this one plant here. I was going to pot it. I literally have my little pot over there that I wanted to put it in, but I just realized I don't really need to do that. But I do want to look at the roots of this plant. I have been keeping these little guys on a heating mat, so I've had to water them very often, like very often. I didn't put like anything at the bottom, at the drainage hole, so a lot of dirt came out, so I feel like there's an air bubble. There's an air bubble in this pot somewhere, and I want to get rid of it, so I'm gonna take it out. We're gonna look at its roots also, because I don't know if the heating mat is doing any good or if it's being harmful, because some plant over here can't handle it, can't handle a heating mat. Just kidding, it's actually my fault, but we'll get into that later. So yeah, that's what I want to do today with this beautiful Varicosum. It's gonna be great. This is gonna be the revival of a lifetime. It's gonna be gorgeous when I'm through with this. I'm gonna estimate this is gonna take about 2 months. 2 months to be a full-on revival, so keep watch over that update. And I'm gonna have a playlist for these plants because I have previous videos on them. I don't know why I'm struggling so much. But yeah, so first thing I want to do is actually cut it. I'm gonna be bold, and the first thing I want to do is cut it. I'm gonna get my stuff back there and we're gonna do that. Okay, so the first thing that I want to do here is cut this off. Actually, I'm gonna cut to all the way down here, because there's 2 nodes free, and then we don't need this here for when some new growth comes in. It's going to be in the way, so pulling that out. This is what we have, and we don't need this excess area right here, so I'm going to cut this at an angle like that. So I cut that at an angle, and this is good to go into water. And I'm going to go ahead and put it with this pedatum propagation that I have. So it's gonna root in there. I have it all the way up to the node that this ugly leaf is on, because I want that to root so I can bury that in soil as well. So when it does die, the leaf dies off, then I can have a plant not starting 1 node above soil. So this is the plant now. You can see it's very small. It consists of one singular leaf. I was originally planning on putting it in a whole like bigger pot, but I don't think that's necessary now. We don't need this stick. I'm gonna make a moss pole for this in 2 months, which I predict I'm gonna need it in. Predicting I'm gonna need it in 2 months, so that's why I keep saying 2 months, but let's see what's going on. So roots look good. Oh, some roots are falling off though. That's okay. I'm just gonna take those out. But yeah, roots are looking really good. This soil mix feels pretty heavy compared to what I normally would make a soil mix. So that's probably why it's been retaining enough water for the plant to be doing what I think is better than the other one. Not too much, but what I'm gonna do now is put like an orchid bark to cover up this hole, and water's still gonna be able to escape, but hopefully no more soil will fall out. So that's how we have it. Now I can mix this up and repot the plant. So there we go. It does look wonky, but it's okay. It'll look prettier. And the new growth is gonna grow from this node. So I didn't bury it, but after the new growth grows out, I probably will bury it when I put a moss pole in here. Now that we have fixed up the easier plant or the less struggling plant, we're gonna talk about this Milanochrysome. This one had spider mites too, so leaves are missing from down here. Other than that, this plant is still struggling. It has continued to grow without putting out any healthy leaves. First of all, I think this soil doesn't retain water for as long as the one the Varicosum is in. And I also think that there's a bigger air bubble in here, so the roots aren't able to, they're not in soil, they're just floating around in air, so they're not being able to get water that way. I have it on a heat mat, which dries out the soil so quickly, and it's also in a south-facing window, which it gets pretty warm there, so soil does dry out quickly there as well. So all of those things are adding up for this plant to not be getting enough water, that it keeps growing and then it puts out a leaf and then the leaf dries up and dies. Like, the leaf doesn't get to fully grow before it dries up and dies. So this is a me problem. I've been watering even more and more often, and it's still like this one up here I thought was gonna be the first leaf to finally come out, and then it dried up. So I've been watering so much. The last thing there is for me to do is to fill in that air bubble I know is there. I can see it from the drainage hole of the pot. So we're gonna do essentially the same thing that I did with the Varicosum, but I'm not gonna be taking any cuttings since I don't feel comfortable taking cuttings without there being healthy new growth. So when I do take cuttings of this plant, there's gonna be like 4 cuttings, because there's an empty node here that I'm gonna want to root for this leaf, and then there are 2 empty nodes here that I'm gonna want to root for this leaf. And then whenever new growth comes out, healthy new growth comes out, I'm gonna want these 3 nodes for the next leaf that comes out. So there's a lot of empty nodes on this plant. It just looks like a sad little barren thing. And then you also might have seen that these leaves are burnt. And that is because when I had them in my south-facing window, I have blinds that they got stuck on the wrong side of. So they were getting direct south-facing sunlight, and that's how they burned. So yeah, this is all just so many mistakes piling up. So yeah, all I'm gonna be doing is repotting this. Here we are, where you can see look how healthy it looks like that. And then you bring it back. Yeah, so let's get to repotting this. I'm gonna be doing the same deal with the orchid bark and putting that at the base of the plant. First thing I need to do is take off this. And I found a bunch of hair, like little hair clips at the thrift store, like a bag of them, and I've been using them as like little clips for my plants. So we're gonna use that so it doesn't look as janky. It'll still look janky, but a little bit better. Okay, I'm thinking this is the air bubble because there's not enough soil in here. My poor plant. The roots don't look too bad. Yeah, they don't look too bad. I was worried that like they were desiccating, drying up from not getting enough water, but they look okay. So I'm gonna leave this chunka here. And yeah, this is definitely like such a light soil. So I'm gonna add some of this mix. So hopefully it can retain more water for longer. This pot is actually so musty crusty. Maybe I should clean it. I'm gonna clean off this pot because this is ugly. Okay, it didn't really come off completely or like at all, but whatever, that's okay. So adding some orchid bark to that. Smaller chunkas. And this one is for covering up that drainage hole. So one thing that I want to mention about these little hair clips, unlike orchid clips, they have teeth on the inside, which you got to be careful for your plants because if you squeeze it too hard, those teeth are gonna dig into your plant. So that's one thing that's annoying, but I haven't found any orchid clips. Honestly, I haven't really been looking, but I've had these, so I don't know, save some money. There we go. And it is a good sign that when I wiggle this around, there's no soil coming out of the bottom of the pot. So now hopefully this plant will thrive more. So there we go. Got the finished products here. And I'm gonna continue leaving them where they were living before, which is in the south facing window on a heat mat. And I think now the heat mat will be a lot more effective than it was before when they had a giant air bubble inside of their pots. So this time it's gonna be good for them. Their roots are not gonna be just dangling out in air, not able to get any water. And hopefully this Milanochrysome will be putting out some new leaves since there's gonna be water for it to drink and fuel its growth. We're not getting any more sunburns either. I'm gonna be careful not to get it caught in the blinds when I open them. And then this one over here, this little propagation, I think it's gonna take like a week or so for roots to show up, like just for it to root. And then in 2 months, it'll be ready to pot. So that's what I'm thinking. And then I have no idea how long it will take for this one little leaf to put out another new leaf. Usually it takes longer for that to happen than for like a top cutting to put out a leaf. So we'll see about that. Yeah, and then I'll have an update video for when those things happen. I'll have the playlist of these plants' journeys because oh my gosh, they've been through so much. And if you know about the table, then you definitely know these plants have been through so much. So yeah, thank you for watching and I will see you in the next one. Bye! Oh, no. Yes. Yes. Nobody gives you attention, huh? Okay. Step aside.